What's going on, everybody in the Wilson Auto Detailing community? Listen, this morning in the garage, I want to talk about something that is probably one of the most important things we can talk about in terms of a ceramic coating, paint correction, detailing business, whatever kind of detailing business that you're running right now. This is one of the most important things. I don't ever hear people talk about it. I don't ever hear people talk about it in the detailing world. I don't ever hear people talk about detailing business stuff in general, but this is like deep dive business stuff. And so we want to talk about it from the surface level to a more complex level so that everybody who's watching this either on the live call or on the replay can get something out of it, okay? Before we start, this video is sponsored by the live free training that we are hosting at Wilson Auto Detailing on November 11th. If you have not yet registered for the live free training on November 11th, go to wilsonautodetailing.com/NOV11, okay? That link is gonna be in the bio as well. Now let's talk about when customers do not call you back. And what I mean by this is we can say, let me push this up just a little bit like that, there we go. There's a plane outside if you can hear that. Ignore the noise, okay? So when customers don't call back, or we could also say they don't call back or they stop responding. Or let's just say we do talk to the customer, we do interact with them, but we don't close the deal, we don't actually do business with them. So we don't do business with them. And what we could say is we could give this an umbrella term, and we could say all of this stuff could be categorized as a moment in time when, for whatever reason, among many reasons, a potential customer, so this is kind of the umbrella way we'll say this, is potential customer does not turn into a real customer, okay? And rather than putting an X, which is kind of confusing, we will put a not equal to. We'll do some mathematical connotation or mathematical notation today. How about that? Okay, so what's one of the biggest problems for detailers, especially when they're starting their businesses and they don't have systems in place? Because this is actually what we're going to talk about. All of this stuff is generally a lack of proper systems. There are many reasons why these things can happen, but it's generally a lack of proper systems. Okay, so one of the biggest struggles for detailers is this. I called my customer called me, we texted, we communicated in some capacity, and it didn't actually turn into a customer. Many things happen in the time frame from customer to real customer, and we could probably put this like this. This is from the time we first talked to them, and this is where the close of the deal is, and there's 1,000 things in this continuum that happen, okay? One of them is they might think our price is too high. Another one is they might just not like us. Another one is they say, hey, I need to talk to my husband, I need to talk to my wife, and I'll get back to you, and they never get back to you. Or another one might be, hey, let me think about it for a while. See, I live in the South, okay? I live in Nashville, Tennessee. In the South, we're nice to people, like we're very hospitable, right? But the problem is we can be really mean to people behind their back, okay? So like, have you ever heard somebody in the South, people say, oh, bless their heart, right? We say that. If you ever hear somebody say, oh, bless his heart, what that means is they're about to say something really bad about that person, and they just want to feel better about it before they do. They want to feel a little less guilty, okay? That's what that means. Bless his heart, man. I can't believe he got that haircut. That's kind of what it's like, okay? So this is kind of what happens in the South, okay? When I'm talking to people, they will say things like, hey, I just need to think about it. And what they really mean is, I don't want to do this, but I just don't want to tell you, okay? Puerto Rico, ¿cómo están todos mis amigos desde Puerto Rico? Yo sé que dije que voy a hacer más videos en español, pero ahorita tenemos que hacerlo en inglés, ¿ok? Pero después del 11 de noviembre vamos a hacer más en español, ¿ok? Te prometo. Okay, so I've got some friends from South America, from different parts of Puerto Rico, Mexico, a lot of Spanish speakers on the channel as well, so we try to do some stuff in Spanish as well. Now listen, my point here is there's a lot of things that happen in between closing a customer and not closing a customer and that lead to it. So we are going to oversimplify some things, but here's what we want to talk about today. How to keep customers from slipping through the cracks, okay? And the problem is my whiteboard is kind of cold, so it makes it harder to erase. So just give me a second to erase all of this. That's a good note. I actually didn't know this. When whiteboards get cold, it gets very hard to erase things. So try your best to have a warm whiteboard. Okay? Okay. That'll work. So listen, let's talk about one of the main reasons why customers slip through the cracks. And this is what we're going to call, we're going to start from step number 1. This is what we're going to call a foundation problem. Foundation problem, okay? Why do we call it a foundation problem? It's because if I'm building a house on cinder block, on a cinder block foundation, on a concrete slab, and we've got cinder blocks that raise the house up, we've got a crawl space underneath it. In Tennessee, we have to have crawl spaces, or well, we don't have to, but we have a lot of houses that were born, or that were houses that were born. A lot of houses that were constructed like pre 1990s or pre 2000. A lot of times they have crawl spaces, and you have to have a dehumidifier down there because we get a lot of rain here, and it's a very humid state. Okay, the reason I say that is because if you build a house on the wrong foundation, on bad cinder block, that house is going to start to lean over time. You're going to have to put a joist underneath it and push up one side. All this bad stuff's going to happen. You're going to have to sink some money into it. This is what happens in our business. We have a foundation problem when customers come in. So customers come in from all sorts of angles, right? They come in through, let's say they come in through Facebook, right? They come in through text. They come in through phone call. They come in through different social platforms other than Facebook, and they come in through referrals. Referrals. So customers come in. We have a lot of different entry points, right? So, just like this, looks kind of like this. This is our business, okay? So customers come into our business from many different places. The foundation problem, it's not over here. There's problems over here, I promise, but we're not talking about that today. The problem is what happens here, okay? This is where the foundation problems exist. So let's just I'm going to draw a foundation as if this is my house. This is my house, this is my business, okay? And this is the foundation, just like this. All right, here's where things slip through cracks, okay? When we do not have systems in place here to capture customer information, then this, which is just whatever happens afterwards, this is what gets hurt, okay? What's one of the reasons we lose customers? They come in and we don't have this is all follow-up, so I'm going to start naming it down here. Here's foundation problems. We have no follow-up system, okay? First problem that I see with detailers, no follow-up system. What that means is we've got things where customers are coming in at some level. It might be a little bit, but customers are coming in, and the reason they slip through the cracks is not because they meant to, it's because we don't have a follow-up system. Oftentimes what happens when a customer doesn't call you back is in the beginning of your business, the detailer assumes it's because they don't want to do business with me. What you realize as you progress in business is actually many people don't call you back, not because they don't want to do business with you, it's because they got busy. They have kids, they have a life, and all of a sudden, all you had to do was follow up, but because there's no follow-up sequence, nothing happened. It fell through the crack right there, okay? Here's another foundational problem, okay? Detailers have no way to collect and organize customer info, okay? No way to collect and organize customer information. There are detailers who have customers over here coming into their business, and what happens? When they get here, if they don't do business with them, they're gone. That person is gone. It doesn't matter why they didn't do business with them. It could have been that you didn't like them. It could have been they didn't like you. It could have been no follow-up. It could have been the price is too high. It could have been 1,000 things. It doesn't matter. This is one of those areas where detailers don't understand. It doesn't matter what the objection was or what the reason was that you didn't do business with them in that moment. What matters is, even if you didn't do business with them, oh my gosh, that scared me. Okay, even if you didn't do business with them, there was literally, this is how you know it was live. Did you guys see me jump? Okay, there was I think that's a baby mole, actually. That's another thing we have in Tennessee. this is a total sidetrack, but people in different places have different roadkill, right? So we've got armadillo, raccoon, possum, skunk, and groundhogs and moles. I grew up on a farm, actually, and a lot of times you have to kill moles and groundhogs because they'll dig underneath a barn. And speaking of foundation problems, they'll dig these tunnels underneath a barn, and a barn will slowly start to sag in the middle or on an edge wherever the weight-bearing beams have been dug under, and that foundation is kind of loose. You have that loose soil. Anyway, so that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. Well, I guess I could segue it back in because it creates a bad foundation. So when you have moles like this in Tennessee and they dig underneath your business, okay, you start to have this bad foundation in one or more areas. So my point in saying this is it doesn't matter why you didn't do business with this person. The point is actually, more importantly, that even if you didn't do business with them, you contacted them. You had some sort of contact with them. So I want to talk about something called the, I'm going to write it, I'll write it over here. It's called the Franklin effect. Okay? I don't remember where I read this. It could have been a book called The Defining Decade. I think that's what it was called. The Defining Decade is a book that was written by a sociologist or a psychologist. I can't remember her name. But anyway, she was describing why it's so important to start things early because of the compounding nature of time. And oftentimes in our culture, we teach people, just live it up in your 20s, have fun in your 20s. And her argument was it's actually very important to set certain things in motion in your 20s because they begin to compound over time. It was a really great book. Anyway, the Franklin effect is actually something she talked about. The Franklin effect describes relationships that you have with people that are surface level relationships. They're not deep friendships, but what they are connection points where you've met somebody once, you've met somebody twice, to the point where if you were out at a restaurant and you saw them walk in, you would say, "Hey, James, what's going on, man?" And he'd say, "Hey, Luke, how are you? How's the wife? How's the babies? How's the business? Doing well, thanks, man. How are you?" And it would be a surface level conversation, and then you'd move on. I don't ever get to know James very well. We don't have a deep friendship, but we have this touch point where we know each other on the surface level. The reason why they call that the Franklin effect is because they actually named it after Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin, if you read, there's a great biography by Walter Isaacson. If you read about Benjamin Franklin, he was a guy who had a really wide network of people, but it wasn't a network of best friends, and that's what's interesting. His network were people that he knew at a very surface level, and people knew him at a very surface level, but he would take advantage of these relationships where he had a surface level relationship with somebody, just a brief connection, doesn't know anything about him, but they just know each other at a surface level, and because of that, when he would go back to ask something from them, like ask them to teach him something or mentor him in some way or help him in a business or whatever, all of a sudden they would do it. Because a lot of times the most effective relationships you have, particularly in business pursuits, are people who you're not deep friends with, but you have a surface level connection. It's called the Franklin effect. What happens in the detailing business when customers don't call you back, detailers don't understand that that's actually the beginning of the Franklin effect. This is a person who you don't know personally, but you've spoken with them once or twice over the phone. You didn't do business together, but that's not the point. The point is we have to capture their information because there are opportunities in the future to follow up with those people, and all of a sudden the likelihood of us actually doing something together increases dramatically just because we've had one touch point previously. It's actually how it works. It's crazy, right? It's so simple, but it's crazy. So the reason why I keep hearing this mole, and I wonder if it's in the garage wall. This is interesting. Okay, I'm going to let it go. So the idea here is we need systems that collect customer information, and I wrote organize customer information because, yes, the guy said, isn't the defining decade from a PhD J something? Yes, I think her name is Meg J. I think that book, The Defining Decade, her name's Meg J. I could be wrong, but I think that's right. Okay. So my point here is, if we're not collecting and organizing information, then that person just fell they blew away in the wind. Now I want to show you another example where this might make it click a little bit better, okay? So everybody knows that if you want to run ads on social media and stuff, you hire an agency or you learn how to do it or whatever. Man, this is so hard to erase. This is crazy. Hold on. Okay. So I want to show you guys, maybe give you another illustration to make this make sense. When you run an ad on social media, or let's just say it's old school and you run ads in the newspaper, okay? So you have an ad, here's the newspaper, okay? News, and here's your ad, okay? There's a contact phone number in your ad. And let's say a certain amount of people call the number, okay? So you talk to 500 people, okay? Let's say out of these 500 people, 10 people actually purchase whatever it is you were selling. You have 10 customers, okay? Customers, okay? In the detailing world, we just take those 10 customers and we run away, and that's it. We collect 10 payments for however much from these people, and then that's it. We're done. What most people who are detailing don't understand is, all right, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I had a call come in. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. So if it happens again, just stay on the live stream because I'll be right back. Okay, so out of these 500 customers, out of the 500 people who called, we had 10 customers. What most detailers don't understand is not only do you have 10 customers, yeah, that's good because that's immediate cash. But in addition to the 10 customers, you also have 490, let's call them, let's just say 490 interested people, okay? These 490 interested people, what we have to understand is that you paid money not only to run the ad so that you could sell your product. You paid money to find these people. This is what detailers don't understand. So when you have a customer who calls you, regardless of whether or not you do business with them, if you don't collect the contact information, name, phone number, and hopefully email, but let's just say name and phone number, you've lost already. Because let's just say you're 3 years, like you are 3 years in your detailing business, and out of those 3 years, you had 1,000, or let's say 2,000, okay, let's say 1,000. Out of 3 years, you had 1,000 phone calls come in, okay? 1,000 phone calls. But out of the 1,000 phone calls, in 3 years, your business isn't doing that great, but you got 120 customers, okay? So out of 3 years, you did 120 details, okay? 120 customers. What you also have is 880 leads, okay? Why do I say it this way? Because all of a sudden, in 3 years, while yes, you might not have made all the money you wanted to make, now you're building a list of interested people in your local area that all of a sudden you don't have to wait for every customer to call you. You're building a list where the ball is in your court, and there can be future deals and discounts and whatever that can incentivize these people. And because you've already touched base with them, there's a higher probability that these people will actually turn into customers with something else in the future that you do in your detailing business. But these 880 leads are not being collected by detailers. And this is the most foolproof way to do it because it costs no money. In the detailing world, most of the time, you have your organic channels, which are social media, Google, Facebook posts, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, these people are calling you, and this is free. This doesn't cost any money. And unless you do business with them, you're not collecting their information. And it's a huge mistake. Because if you were 3 years in business and you had 880 contacts and names and numbers to work with, like you're talking about the leverage in your business that most people just don't have. It's insane, okay? So that's really what I wanted to talk about here, is why this is so important to have systems, so that when customers don't call you back, it doesn't just slip through the cracks. You're building assets that can be used by you later in your business, okay? Now let me erase this. Hold on. So, now at the beginning of the video I told you guys, and I know I'm repeating myself, but on November 11th, we are launching a live free training at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And in that live free training, we are going to be talking about a lot of things, but among them is going to be, first and foremost, we're going to teach you guys to scale to 6 figures in your detailing business. Why 6 figures? 6 figures is about $8,400 a month, all right, per month. $8,400 a month. This number is not arbitrary. The reason why we pick $8,400 is because this. When you're running a business, most of the time in the detailing world, what happens is, and the reason why I know this is because this is what happened to me, and we train detailers every single day, and we see that it happens to them. Most of the time, detailers, in the beginning of their business, they're able to get some momentum, okay? They're able to get some momentum, and it kind of looks like this. If this is 0, they start and they get a little bit of momentum like this, and they kind of plateau right around $3,000 per month, okay? Now, if you're watching this on the replay, comment in the comments below, how much are you making a month right now? And if you're on the live and you're comfortable with it, put how much you're making in your detailing business a month if you have a detailing business. What often happens is they make a few $100s or a few $1,000s a month, but they hit the ceiling right there. So they're making about $3,000 per month, and they want to figure out how to do this. Excuse me, swallowed my spit. They want to figure out how to do this. They want to figure out how to grow, but it's very difficult because all they really know how to do are these strategies, these beginning strategies. And the problem is when you get here, the game changes, and you actually have to do some different stuff. Now, a lot of people ask, okay, well, if I'm not a professional detailer, can I still come to the training on November 11th? Yes. If you are not a pro detailer and you've never started your detailing business, you can avoid doing this. So the biggest kind of like bummer of a lot of people who've started detailing businesses is they started kind of the wrong way. So they plateau around $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, maybe a few $100s a month. But if you come on November 11th, what we're showing you is you can start as a complete beginner with no business. And rather than plateauing, you can just go up like this. We just want to teach you, we want to get you directly to 6 figures, okay? Avoid doing it the hard way, avoid making mistakes, avoid buying stuff you don't need, avoid listening to things that don't work, avoid old marketing strategies, old advertising strategies, old business SEO strategies, online strategies. These are the new strategies of the new economy that you need to know if you're going to do this. So you can avoid the plateau altogether. Again, it's wilsonautodetailing.com/NOV11. So it's /NOV11, okay? wilsonautodetailing.com/NOV11. The link will be in the YouTube description box below. If you don't have a business, you need to be there on November 11th. If you already have a business, you need to be there on November 11th, because either way, we're either going to get you started the right way, and you're going to be able to avoid doing things the hard way, or we're going to get you out of the rut that you're in, okay? I want to show you just a little bit more here, just really quick. I know I'm going a little long, but I want to show you something here. Here's what many detailers teach, okay? A lot of detailers think in their business that they have to do this. Here's the detailer, okay? Detailer, all right? And they go like this. These are their customers. They're spending their time trying to go find customers. Why does this not work? Why doesn't this work? Because it seems simple and it seems obvious, right? That this is just what you would do. This is what most detailers do. If you do this, you will cap your income. You will not be able to pass a few $1,000s a month at most. You will not be able to pass it, because all of this takes a lot of time and it produces very little results. You guys see how this works? You're spending your time trying to capture a bunch of people so that a handful of them can do business with you. So this is what it looks like. Spend time, spend time, spend time, waste time, waste time, waste time. Get a little bit of cash, just enough. It's like a hit. It's like a drug hit. It's like just enough cash to keep you excited, to keep you going, but you'll never be able to grow. You just cap yourself right away. That's what it looks like. What we're going to be teaching you on November 11th, and the reason why it's so important, is because we're going to teach you literally a system you can implement today. You don't have to wait. You don't have to, it doesn't have to, like, it doesn't take years. It doesn't even take months, okay? You can implement it today. No other detailers are doing it. No other detailing businesses are doing it. It's never been taught before, okay? This is what it looks like. Here's all the people in my area who want ceramic coatings or paint correction or auto detailing. These are customers, okay? These are customers. Here's what it looks like. See how this picture changes? Very, very simple. In my business and in all the detailers that we train, here's what we train people to do. If you spend time going to get customers, you've already failed before you started. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It might get you a few $100 to a few $1,000s a month. But if you want to scale to at least around $8,400 a month, because that is $100,000 a year, 6 figures, a little over, but 6 figures, this is what you have to do. You have to create a system that does this. All of these customers, they come to you, and you get to decide who you work with, what you charge, and this right here, rather than doing $150, $250 details, you're doing $1,000 details, $1,500 details, $2,500 details. Now that might sound crazy to some of you who are beginning or who haven't been in the detailing world for a while, but this is not like gimmicky or tricky or like, we're going to teach you how to make $1 million so that you can sip margaritas on the beach. That's not what we're talking about, okay? It's not anything weird or like, slimy. It's actually very simple, but it does take about an hour and a half to walk through all of the strategies enough so that you can walk away with those strategies and implement them. That's why we're doing this on November 11th. WilsonAutoDetailing.com/NOV11. We're going to show you guys this, okay? It's simple. It's not that complicated. The reason why it seems complicated, it's not because this system is complicated. It's because there's so much bad information online in the detailing world about business because detailers are talking to you who have not built detailing businesses. So they just don't have the ability to speak to this stuff, right? It's very simple, actually. It's not even like an argument you have to defend. It's just like they've never done it, so they can't really speak on it, okay? WilsonAutoDetailing.com/NOV11. The link will be in the YouTube description box. If you sign up and you don't get a confirmation email, it's because all of the spots are full. I'm sorry. I've been talking about this for the past 2-3 weeks. I wish you would have signed up sooner. If you do get a confirmation email, it means you're in, okay? And it means you're totally good. If you don't get a confirmation email, you can reach out to me at support@wilsonautodetailing.com, support@wilsonautodetailing.com, and we have a waiting list. So people who end up emailing me and they say, hey, I actually can't come, we will boot them off and then we can put you in. So if that happens, if you don't get a confirmation email, let me know and we might try that. But the waiting list is already built to, enough people to where it might take a second, okay? But anyway, WilsonAutoDetailing.com/NOV11. You guys are going to get this system. See you guys later.